This is the story of Ruth, a Moabite woman who became an ancestor of King David and Jesus Christ. The story of Ruth takes place in the time of the Judges, when there was famine in the land of Israel. A family from Bethlehem of Judah, formed by Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their two sons, Mahlon and Chilion, decided to move to the land of Moab, where there was food. There, the two children married Moabite women, one called Orphan and the other called Ruth. But after 10 years, a tragedy happened. Elimelech and his two children died, leaving Naomi and her daughters-in-law widows and without sustenance.
Girls, go back to your mother's house. May the Lord be loyal to you as you were to the dead, and me. May the Lord grant that each of you find security in another husband's home.
No, we will return with you to your people.
But Noemi insisted.
Come back, my daughters. Why would they come with me? Do I still have children in my womb? Who can be their husbands? Come back, my daughters. Go. I'm too old to have another husband. And even if I thought there was still hope for me, and I got married tonight and gave birth, would they wait until they grow up? Would they stay without getting married, waiting for them? No, my daughters, I am very bitter for what the Lord has done to me.
Then they cried loudly again. And Orphan kissed her mother-in-law and said goodbye to her. But Ruth got attached to her. Noemi said to Ruth,
Look, your sister-in-law has returned to your people and your God. Come back with her.
Pero Ruth respondió,
Don't insist that I leave you and not accompany you anymore. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me with all rigor if anything other than death separates me from you.
When Noemi saw that Ruth was determined to accompany her, she didn't insist anymore. And so, they left together towards Bethlehem. When Naomi and Ruth arrived in Bethlehem, the whole city became agitated because of them. The women asked,
Is Noemi?
Don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara, because the Almighty made me very bitter. I left the house full, but the Lord brought me back empty. Why would they call me Noemi? Whereas the Lord turned against me. The Almighty brought me misfortune.
Naomi returned from the fields of Moab with her non-in-law Ruth, the Moabite, at the time of the barley harvest. Ruth, the Moabite, said to Naomi,
Let me go to the fields and catch ears fallen between the beams, behind the one who allows me.
Go, my daughter.
Then Ruth went and began to breathe in the field, following the reapers. By chance, he ended up on a piece of land that belonged to Boaz, who was from the Elimelech clan. Boaz arrived from Belém and greeted the reapers.
The Lord be with you.
The Lord bless you.
Boaz asked the foreman of the reapers,
Who is that girl?
She is the young Moabitan who returned with Naomi from the fields of Moab. He asked me to let it spike and pick up spikes between the beams, after the mowers. He arrived early and is standing until now, except for a brief break in the shelter.
Then Boaz said to Ruth,
Listen, my daughter, don't go to another field or get away from here. Stay with my servants. Pay attention to where the men are moping and follow my maids. I've already ordered the boys not to touch you. And whenever you are thirsty, go to the pots and drink from the water that the boys took out.
Ruth prostrated himself, face on the ground, and asked,
Why did I find a favor outside your eyes to the point of noticing a foreigner?
I was informed of everything you did for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. how you left your father and your mother and your homeland and came to a people you did not know before. May the Lord repay what you did, and may you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you came to seek refuge.
May I continue to find favor in your eyes, my lord. You consoled me and spoke kindly to your servant, although I'm not even one of your servants.
At lunchtime, Boaz told Ruth,
Come here, eat some bread and dip it in vinegar.
When she sat down with the secateurs, he offered her toasted grains. She ate until she was satisfied and still had leftovers. After getting up to breathe again, Boaz gave orders to his men.
Let her pick up even between the beams and don't scold her. Also, tear off some cobs from the beams and let them fall so that she catches them, and don't scold her.
So Ruth resided in the field until dusk. Then he threshed the barley he had harvested and filled a large amount of grains. He took the grains back to the city and showed his mother-in-law how much he had harvested. RUTE also gave Noemi what was left over from the food. And Noemi asked,
Where have you been today? Where did you work? Blessed be the man who was interested in you.
Then Ruth told her mother-in-law about Boaz. Ruth continued to breathe in her field until the end of the harvest. Noemi then gave him advice to approach Boaz and ask him to fulfill his duty as a rescuer. RUTE followed Noemi's plan and went to the place where Boaz slept after dinner and drinking. She lay down with her feet and waited for him to wake up. When Boaz realized that there was a woman on his feet, he asked,
Who are you?
I'm Ruth, your servant. Spread your cloak over your servant because you are a rescuer.
Boaz was impressed by Ruth's kindness and fidelity and said,
May the Lord bless you, my daughter. This kindness of yours is greater than the first, because you didn't go running after the youngest, rich or poor. Now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do everything you ask me for you. All my fellow citizens know that you are a virtuous woman. It's true that I'm a rescuer, but there's another one closer than me. Stay here tonight, and in the morning, if you want to rescue her, do it. But if she doesn't want to, I swear by the Lord that I will rescue her. Now, go to bed until morning.
So she was off her feet until the morning, but she got up before she could be recognized. Boaz said,
Don't know that a woman came to the era. Bring me the cape that's on you and hold it.
When she held her, she put 6 measures of barley and put it on her shoulders. Then he returned to the city. When RUTE arrived at her mother-in-law's house, Noemi asked,
How was it, my daughter?
He gave me these 6 measures of barley, saying, Do not return to your mother-in-law with empty hands.
Wait, my daughter, until you know what's going to happen, because that man won't rest until he solves the matter today.
Boaz went to the city gate and sat there. When he saw the rescuer pass by, he said,
Come here, my friend, and sit here.
And he went and sat down. Then Boaz gathered 10 leaders of the city and said to them,
Noemi, who returned from Moab, is selling the part of the field that belonged to our brother Elimelech. I thought I should inform you of this and tell you that in front of those who are sitting here and before the leaders of my people, if you want to rescue the field, do it. But if you don't want to, tell me, so I know, because there is no one but you who has the right to rescue him, and I am next after you.
I'll rescue him.
The day he buys Naomi's field, he will also have to marry Ruth, the Moabite, widow of one of Naomi's children, to keep the name of the deceased linked to his property.
In that case, I will not be able to rescue it, since it would harm my own inheritance. Rescue it yourself. I waive my right of redemption.
You are witnesses that today I bought Naomi everything that belonged to Elimelech, Quiliam, and Malom. I also acquired Ruth, the Moabite, widow of Malon, like my wife, to keep the name of the deceased linked to his inheritance, so that his name does not disappear from among his relatives and from his hometown. You are witnessing this today.
We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who enters his house like Rachel and Leah, who together built the nation of Israel. Be powerful in Ephratah and gain fame in Bethlehem. Through the children that the Lord grants her through this young woman, may her family be like that of Perez, son of Tamar and Judah.
So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. When she joined her, the Lord granted her to become pregnant, and she gave birth to a child. The women told Noemi,
Praise the Lord who today did not leave her without a rescuer. Let his famous name be in Israel. He will restore your life and give you support in old age, because he is the son of your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better for you than 7 children.
Noemi took the child, snuggled him in her lap, and raised him. The women of the neighborhood gave her a name, saying,
Noemi has a son.
And they named him Obed. This was the father of Jesse, father of David. This is the story of Ruth, a Moabite woman who became an ancestor of King David and Jesus Christ. Ruth's story shows us how God can use simple and faithful people to fulfill his plan of salvation. Ruth teaches us to be loyal, kind, hardworking, and confident in the Lord. May we follow your example and be blessed by God.